Welcome to the complete animation of Ellie from Ice Age Dawn of the Dinosaurs. One of the interesting things about the Ice Age movies is that, at least in the United States, they are never referred to by their numbers in the title. All the way from the Meltdown on to the fifth movie, the actual title of the movie is Ice Age with a subtitle. It's never Ice Age 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. That does change internationally, though. Like in other countries, the theatrical poster would say Ice Age 4, and that's just what they would do. But at least in America, this is not Ice Age 3, this is Ice Age Dawn of the Dinosaurs. And it also happens to be the best of the Ice Age sequels. Dawn of the Dinosaurs is a good movie, but it's also not perfect. The biggest issue I have with Ice Age Dawn of the Dinosaurs is also one of the things I have a problem with basically every other Ice Age movie, and that is that they all have really weak openings. They eventually get to the point where they have enjoyable stories that you're invested in and you want to see the ending of and you enjoy it along the way, but I find that basically every movie has a really weak opening. Ice Age 1, just the first Ice Age, it had a pretty good opening with just Scrat. It was like the first time we'd ever seen Scrat, and seeing a movie open like that was fun and interesting. But it really took a while before you started to really care about the characters. And then once you did, it became a really good movie. And the same thing is happening here in Dawn of the Dinosaurs. It's like everything that happens before the big mother T-Rex shows up just isn't that good. But it's also needed. That's why I'm torn about this. It's like it's not a very good opening, but also it's necessary. Because if the opening didn't happen like that, then you wouldn't care about things. So like it's not very good, but it's necessary. And yeah, Dawn of the Dinosaurs is the best out of the Ice Age sequels. It is so good, and it's especially good compared to a bunch of the media that was coming out around that time. I think Dawn of the Dinosaurs came out in 2009, 2010, somewhere around there. And you look at what film and video games were doing at that time, and TV, that was in, the doldrums of that one era that I absolutely hate in media, where everything was washed out and gray and brown. It's like, you look at games like Fallout New Vegas. That game is completely devoid of color. It's like sometimes the sky looks pretty blue, but then basically everything else is just brown and gray, which is, I guess, a bit of a step up over Fallout 3's everything being green and gray. But Ice Age, Dawn of the Dinosaurs, does away with that, and this movie actually has, some actual bright and vibrant, saturated colors. And that becomes really apparent once you get down to where the dinosaurs are. In terms of world building and everything, I don't think that this movie makes much sense. It's like an entire world of dinosaurs living beneath the ice. That doesn't make sense, but in my opinion, things can just not make sense as long as they are executed well and they're fun. And this movie is executed well and is very fun. The world that they go to with all the dinosaurs is so good, and the character that makes it all is Buck. Buck is, without a doubt, the best character in this entire movie. Buck steals the show in every scene that he's in. And I think that this is the last Ice Age movie where the cast is at about the right size. because starting from Continental Drift and then going on to Collision Course, the cast just became way too big. So many different characters, and it made it so that nobody really had their time to shine. But this movie was just, teetering on the edge, but didn't fall over yet. And they did a good job of keeping the cast large enough that, there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of dynamics that can go at play. But they didn't go overboard to the point where it's like, this character is there, but they don't have enough time to shine. If I like this character, then I don't get enough of them. And if I dislike this character, there's still a lot of them. It's a weird thing that this movie avoids. And I think that this movie, it has aged pretty well visually. The fur and textures often hold up pretty well. Not all the time. There are some shots where it's like, ooh, this movie is a little bit older. But this has gotten over that hump where it looks really dated. Like, the Meltdown, yeah, there are lots of parts in the Meltdown, and especially the first Ice Age, that don't hold up that well. Visually, at least. And it's so strange that basically the only medium that really feels that way is CGI. Whether it's used in animated features like this, or as special effects in otherwise live action movies, basically CGI is the only thing that just ages so much like this. Even I can't remember what his name is, but that one guy who did a whole bunch of stop motion special effects, those always looked like stop motion special effects. I think one of the movies was like Jason and the Argonauts, and he fought a bunch of skeletons. It's like those skeletons never looked real, but they look just as good today as they ever did. And it's enjoyable to watch. But when it comes to computer generated images, it's like you can tell what era certain CGI effects came from just by looking at them. It's like either this was really early or a little bit later. And it wasn't until like 2012-ish where you started to get CGI that really just fits. And animated movies almost got there. I think about 2016 was about the year when animated movies started having, CGI that still looks pretty good. Although even then, some of those movies are starting to show their age a little bit. But that never happened with older animation, like 2D hand-drawn animation. It's like you look at Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, that movie looks just as good today as it ever did. Because that's just how drawings are. Not saying that, CGI is bad, but I'm just saying, like, it is interesting that it is so intrinsically tied to the technology of its era that it ages. Now, this character, Ellie, she was requested from my Patreon, where you can pay $20 a month, and if you do, then I will make a complete animation of a character of your choice. And the patron who requested this, he really likes Ellie. And so he requested Ellie from The Meltdown, and now he wants Ellie from Dawn of the Dinosaurs, and it sounds like he's pretty set on it. Probably gonna do Ellie from Collision Course and Continental Drift. And one of the things that really stuck out to me while I was editing this movie, going through the footage for this complete animation video, is all the other characters in this movie. Like the mother dinosaur, she's actually good enough that I think that I might maybe make a complete animation of her without even needing to have a patron request. She's pretty good, and she doesn't have that much screen time. I've never really measured how much time it takes me to make these videos, but it has to be several hours for it's at least an hour for every 2 minutes of footage that ends up happening. But I enjoy it. What I do is I like to watch really long form video essay type of YouTube videos. And so when it's time to start editing, I have my editing software right there, and I've got a video playing in another window on the same screen. And that's how I get through my really long sessions of editing complete animation videos. This time I was watching one of those Noah Caldwell Gervais, I can never pronounce his name right, video essays about Dragon Age, the entire series. I recommend him. Like, if you like long form video essays about video games, he's a good one. And so, yeah, I just plug along making these videos, and it's enjoyable. And I'm glad that people end up liking what I make, because I haven't said this before very much since, like 2021, but nobody does what I do. Nobody cuts down videos like this, so it's just like, all I care about is this one character. And you'd be surprised how many shows there are where it's like, I find nothing appealing about this show except for these one or two characters. I used to have a goal that I wanted to watch every single animated feature film, and I've since abandoned that goal. I don't think it's ever going to really happen. But it's kind of liberating, where it's like, hey, here's this one movie. I don't think I'm ever going to watch it, but if I can get my hands on the video file, I could stand to scrub through the video file and make a complete animation video for a character that I find visually appealing in there. And the comments I get in my YouTube channel, they're always like, hey, will you make a complete animation of this character? Will you make a complete animation of that character? And they start suggesting some of the most ugly and hideous characters I've ever seen. It's like, this entire movie has character designs that have zero visual appeal, and the one you're asking me to make is the ugliest of them all. Sometimes I tell people, ew, I'm not going to make a character edit video like that, but I really should learn to just not respond to questions like that in the YouTube comments. But seriously, the comments on some of my videos are so unhinged, where I question, like, I've got questions about the mental state of the people making those comments, where they say things like, oh, such and such is my favorite character. She's so fluffy. I want to rub her belly. Is that weird? It's like, yeah, it is. And then there's also comments where I'm pretty sure that English isn't their first language. Then there's some comments that are so convoluted that I'm pretty sure that they're just completely relying on predictive text. You know, it's like when you're typing on your phone, sometimes it gives you like a selection of 3 words to continue. It's like, here is a paragraph long comment almost entirely written with predictive text, and it sounds so weird to try to read. So who knows? If you go to the comments below this video, maybe you can find some completely unhinged comments about this character Ellie. And I also wonder what the age is of the people who make those kinds of comments. And I can't rely on the YouTube metrics. Like, if I look through the statistics on my YouTube channel, it says that most of my viewers the vast majority of my viewers are adults, but I'm pretty sure that those are just skewed because there has to be some just kids who are either lying about their age when they make an account or using their parents' account. Because there are so many comments where it's like, I don't think any, well functioning adult would make a comment like that. They must just be kids. But, that's just the way the internet is. The internet's always been that way. Where, in the early days of the internet, people were like, oh, you got to watch your kids, make sure they don't go on chat rooms because they might be talking to creepy adults. Well, now I'm an adult and now I'm on the internet and I gotta be like, all right, sometimes when people say something really crazy, it's because they're just a completely unhinged child. I have to try to remind myself of that. But yeah, Ice Age Dawn of the Dinosaurs. This is, I think, the best out of the four Ice Age sequels. And at the time of writing this, they've announced that there's going to be a sixth movie. And I'm genuinely curious what I'll think of it because I really like every single Ice Age movie. All the way from the Meltdown to Dawn of the Dinosaurs, Continental Drift, and Collision Course, I enjoy all of them. I think that all of them have some issues, but I do enjoy all of them. And given my, exceedingly charitable views on movies like this, my guess is I'll probably like Ice Age 6. But you know what'll happen? It happened with Kung Fu Panda 4. It'll happen with Ice Age 6. They're going to be the true fans, quote unquote, who are going to come out of the woodwork to be so hypercritical of this movie, where they're going to say, I hate what they did with my beloved characters. How could they? Blue Sky would never have let this happen. But what can you do? I'm just going to take what I can, and maybe I'll dislike it. I mean, I'm one of the ones who didn't find the Ice Age Adventures of Buck Wild to be completely irredeemable. Maybe I'll like Ice Age 6. Thanks for watching.